The night sky loomed over a towering, magnificent high-rise building. Bright lights illuminated the entire scene. A long table was laden with an array of exquisite dishes, from seafood to roasted chicken. All around, people bustled about in a lively, noisy crowd. Groups of 3 or 5 huddled together, gossiping about the host of tonight's banquet. I heard that this time, the director of Lean Tea brought his daughter along, intending to introduce her to President Ha. If I remember correctly, his daughter is just a rank 2S Rabbit Omega. But President Ha is a rank 3S Wolf King. Could he really take a liking to her? A hand gently swirled a glass of red wine. A deep, magnetic voice rang out. I'm sorry, but I currently have no plans to get married. The very man they had been whispering about had now stepped forward, personally shutting down the rumors. Ha Truok was dressed in a meticulously tailored suit, his tall, commanding frame exuding an imposing presence. His sharp, chiseled features carried a hint of coldness. His wolf ears stood upright, making him look incredibly fierce. A rank 3S Alpha, the powerful CEO of Ha Corporation. After rejecting yet another arranged match, the man simply turned on his heel and walked away. Behind him, a girl whispered to her friend, I heard that wolves are incredibly loyal in love. They only have one mate for life. I wonder which lucky Omega will be the one to capture his heart? Because of his high status, Ha Truok was always the center of attention, not for who he was, but for what people could gain from his corporation. Whenever an opportunity arose, they would eagerly arrange matchmaking attempts. Always soft, delicate, and alluring Omega types, hoping to charm the Golden Bachelor. But it only left him utterly exhausted. Irritated, Ha Truok left the banquet early. He made a call, instructing, cancel all my work for next month. I want to go to New York to relax. Little did he know, this trip would change his life forever. The snow-capped mountains were an unforgiving land, covered in white all year round. A gray wolf arrived, only to discover, damn it, the compass isn't working. Immediately, he made a call, reporting his location. On the other end of the line, a voice assured him, we'll send a helicopter to pick you up right away. A vacation, huh? How did he end up climbing a snow-covered mountain? Suffering like this? Just as he was about to end the call, from a distance, he heard the sound of galloping hooves. Turning his head, he saw a horse approaching, its hooves pounding against the frozen ground. Its tail swayed in the wind, its rider sitting tall. The horse let out a long whinny as it came to a sudden stop before him. In that moment, the Wolf King saw a breathtakingly beautiful youth, a radiant boy, full of energy, shining brilliantly under the sunlight. Smiling mischievously, the young man asked, which noble family do you belong to, mister? This little beauty was Kai Din-du, a rank 3S Napoleon short-legged cat Omega. His pheromones carried the scent of strong liquor. He was the head journalist for the Allied nations. One sat atop the horse, the other stood on the snowy ground. But with just one glance, Ha Truok knew he had fallen in love. Seeing the man staring at him silently, Kai Din-du didn't mind at all. Still seated on his horse, he struck up a conversation. Are you lost? This place is covered in endless white. It's easy to lose your way. No matter how advanced your technology is, nothing beats choosing a horse that knows the roads by heart. As he spoke, he proudly stroked his horse's head. Right, mutt? The lone bachelor, who had just discovered the feeling of love, remained completely speechless. But the radiant young man wasn't annoyed. Instead, he smiled and extended his hand. Come on, I'll take you to the service area at the base of the mountain. Getting a personal invitation from his crush? Only an idiot would refuse. And Ha Truok was not an idiot. The moment that hand was offered, he immediately reached out, took it, and climbed onto the horse, taking the opportunity to wrap an arm around the beauty's waist. The naive Kitten even turned back to remind him, hold on tight, or if you fall flat on your face, I'm not helping. After making sure his passenger was seated properly, Kai Din-du lightly nudged his horse's belly. Let's go, mutt. With that, the horse swiftly carried both of them through the vast, snowy landscape. Ha Truok, single for 35 years, had just found his true love. He sat behind the dazzling young man, a small smile tugging at his lips, his mind already scheming on how to make this beauty his. The same fearsome gray wolf king was now blushing as he secretly texted his assistant. Cancel the rescue team. I'm staying. A chance encounter. A fleeting moment spent together in the snow. Yet somehow, it sparked an undeniable bond between the two. But just as love began to bloom, Kai Din-du had to leave, his duty calling him away. Before parting, the Wolf King gave him a stone bracelet he had just bought from a vendor. A keepsake. Then, he was gone. 2 years passed without a single word. The Grey Wolf, who had only just learned to love, waited endlessly for news of his moonlight. He thought their story, this tale of the Grey Wolf and the Black Cat, had long been buried and forgotten. Until one day, news spread. The Kai family was in financial trouble. Kai Din-du was returning home. The Grey Wolf wasted no time. He rushed to the young man's house, offering his help, but his intentions were painfully clear. He wanted to marry the little black cat, as a condition to save the Kai family. The older the wolf, the craftier he gets, but fate had other plans. The day he prepared flowers to propose was also the day everything fell apart. With a bouquet of fresh red roses in hand, Ha Truok looked at the back of his beloved. A bright, joyful voice called out, "Din-du." The cat-like young man turned around to face him. 2 years had passed, and yet, he was still as breathtaking as ever. But his eyes, his once radiant, sunlit gaze, now held a lingering sadness. Ha Truok, overwhelmed with happiness at reuniting with his moonlight, failed to notice the sorrow in those eyes. All he could think about was, after 2 years, I can finally bring my beauty home. Excitedly, he stepped forward, just wanting to embrace the person he had longed for. But the moment he got close, Kai Din-du's expression darkened. His gaze sharpened, cold and piercing. Before Ha Truok could react, a strong grip seized his arm. With a single, swift move, he was flipped over and slammed onto the ground. The Great Wolf King, desired by countless people, was now lying flat on his back. Completely stunned, Ha Truok frowned, his surprise mixed with growing irritation. But just as he looked up, he was met with the sight of a gun barrel, pointed directly at his forehead. The little cat gritted his teeth, his hands trembling, yet he did not lower the gun. Silence. Ha Truok's heart sank. With a bitter smile, he asked, "Do you really hate me that much?" He thought their feelings had always been mutual. But looking at the trembling hands that refused to lower the gun, he realized, maybe that was just his wishful thinking. If you despise me, you could have just told me directly. You didn't have to turn yourself into this. Ha Truok assumed Kai Din-du was being forced to marry him for the sake of the Kai family. He had waited 2 years for his crush, only to become a joke. But instead of asking for the truth, he jumped to conclusions and decided the outcome all on his own. And because Mr. Hot-Headed Ha was as impulsive as ever, he brutally grabbed the little cat by the hair, his jaw clenched in frustration. "Your father already sold you to me for the sake of his business. So why are you still acting all high and mighty? Seriously, why do rich men always love yanking their lovers by the hair?" As soon as he spat out those words, he let go of Kai Din-du, turning away without another glance. He walked away, leaving behind the one he had spent years longing for, now kneeling on the ground. Wow, so much for love. One slap, and this man already spiraled into full-on heartbreak mode, self-sabotaging the entire relationship. Rich people's love stories are terrifying. Only after he was gone, Kai Din-du clutched his frail shoulders, his body trembling. He sobbed softly, "I'm sorry, he never meant to hurt him." But in that moment, he couldn't control himself. Yet the man who had just walked away would never know. He would never know that in the most painful way possible, he had just lost the one person he truly loved. At the Kai family's funeral, a few mourners stood in the hall, offering their final respects to the deceased. The air was heavy with silence and grief, until it was shattered by the sharp, urgent sound of expensive leather shoes striking against the marble floor. Even without turning around, everyone knew the person arriving was in a rush. And indeed, he was, because the man who had just entered was none other than the great grey wolf, Ha Truok. The surrounding guests began whispering, their voices filled with shock and speculation. But Ha Truok didn't care. Not in the slightest. He strode forward without hesitation. The Wolf King had not come with goodwill. His first words upon arrival, "I want to take my wife's body with me." Even the kindest person, when pushed to their limits, could become terrifying. And Ha Truok's presence alone was enough to ignite fury in one man, Kitten Lan, even before the wolf could say another word. Before he could demand to take his little brother's body, a teacup flew through the air, shattering against Ha Truok's head. With a deafening crash, a furious roar erupted. "Get out!" Blood trickled down his forehead. But Ha Truok did not leave. He remained standing there, his face unreadable, silent and unmoving. Seeing the man still standing his ground, Kitten Lan snapped. "Tiu Du is already dead. And you still refuse to leave him alone?" But Ha Truok was just as stubborn. His voice was firm, unwavering. "Brother, Tiu Du is here. I don't want to cause a scene. Just let me see him once. That's all I ask." If Kitten Lan's anger had been high before, it now exploded. "You have the audacity to say you know Tiu Du is here? He's resting peacefully. And yet you storm in with all these people, disrupting his final journey? Can't you even give him that much?" Ha Truok froze. His breath hitched for a moment. Then, he knelt down. Gently, he placed a single white rose on the floor. Under the watchful eyes of everyone in the hall, he bowed. He knelt down fully, his forehead touching the ground. And in a voice filled with quiet desperation, "Brother, please, just let me see him one last time." Even at a funeral, there was no shortage of onlookers waiting for drama. And when they saw the mighty Ha Truok, the feared Wolf King, kneeling in sorrow, begging for just one last glimpse, the entire hall fell into an even deeper silence. The crowd around them erupted into even louder chatter. Reporters immediately pulled out their cameras, clicking away furiously, fearing that if they missed this moment, they might never get another chance to see Ha Truok, the powerful Wolf King, in such a pitiful state. Even Kitten Lan was stunned. Rich, domineering alphas could actually be this desperate? He was so shocked that he couldn't even react for a moment. Meanwhile, Ha Truok remained kneeling, but his voice, though laced with sorrow, carried an undeniable edge of warning. "You are Tiu Du's older brother. I respect you. I don't want to resort to force. Tiu Du always said I was too hot-tempered. That it wasn't good. That I should learn to be patient. To act with courtesy before resorting to violence. So I'm giving you that chance now. But if you refuse, then I will have no choice but to take matters into my own hands." A plea, laced with outright threat. Kitten Lan knew at that moment there was no stopping this man. With a cold, sharp tone, he finally spoke. "If President Ha insists on seeing him, then go ahead." Ha Truok lowered his head slightly. "Thank you." Then, he immediately signaled to his bodyguards. "Clear the hall. No reporters. No onlookers. I will not let these vultures disturb Tiu Du's peace." As if he was the one who cared most about peace right now. Kitten Lan crossed his arms, watching the wolf walk towards the altar. With a mocking tone, he sneered. 3 years. 3 years of neglect. You abandoned him, ignored him, left him to suffer alone. And now, you put on this act of undying love, only after my brother is already dead. Why bother? Ha Truok didn't respond, didn't react, didn't acknowledge those words. Instead, he stood before the framed portrait of his beloved. His heart, already shattered, sank into a cold, empty abyss. The gray wolf slowly reached out, as if trying to touch the face in the picture. But at the last second, his fingers trembled, and he pulled his hand back. The bodyguards stepped forward, preparing to open the coffin. But Ha Truok suddenly stopped them. "No, only I will do it. No one else." His slender fingers pressed against the lid. He took a deep breath, then pushed it open, and in that moment, his eyes turned ice cold. Because inside the coffin, there was nothing. No body, no clothes, no sign of anything. The coffin was completely empty. Ha Truok's entire body stiffened. Then, suddenly, his eyes lit up. Hope. For the first time in years. A flicker of hope burned in his gaze. Tiu Du isn't here. That means he's not dead, right? Ha Truok's voice was tense, urgent. He lunged forward, grabbing Kitten Lan by the collar. With eyes burning with desperation, he demanded, "Where is Tiu Du? Where are you hiding him? Did you all scheme together to deceive me?" As if anyone had the time or energy to lie to his delusional, egotistical ass. Kitten Lan let out a cold laugh. He looked at the once dignified, composed man, who was now so disheveled, so utterly wrecked, and felt nothing but disgust. With a mocking tone, He spat. Oh, so you do know what heartbreak feels like? Those words struck deep. Ha Truok's blood boiled. Furious, he shoved Kitten Lan, sending him crashing into the funeral wreaths. His roar shook the entire hall. I'm asking you, where is Kitten? Where did you hide him? Asterisk. Still on the floor, Kitten Lan let out a bitter sigh. Then, with just 3 words, he shattered Ha Truok's entire world. He's dead. The impact of those words hit Ha Truok like a blade to the heart. But he still refused to believe it. His voice trembled as he demanded, "Where's the body?" Kitten Lan, exhausted and drained, answered flatly, "There isn't one." Ha Truok froze. His breath hitched. Disbelief clouded his expression as he repeated, "What did you say?" Kitten Lan met his gaze. His voice sharp, clear, and merciless. "Tiu Du, burned to death." 4 simple words, like thunder crashing down, ripping the sky apart. Ha Truok's entire body went stiff. His face turned deathly pale. The world around him felt like it was collapsing. His fists clenched so tightly that his knuckles turned white. His voice, now barely above a whisper. "Then, his bones? Where are his remains?" Kitten Lan sneered. "Bones? Do you even know how hard it is to completely burn human bones? Do you know how much pain a person feels before they are forced to revert to their original form?" As he spoke, he slowly pulled out a small wooden box. Holding it up, he looked Ha Truok dead in the eyes. "Do you know how small Tiu Du's true form is?" A tiny kitten, barely the size of a human palm, covered in fur, trapped in a raging inferno. Burned until not even a trace was left behind. Ha Truok's hands shook violently. As he snatched the box away, he flung it open, and inside, only a tiny pile of blackened ashes remained. Ha Truok staggered backward. His breathing stopped. His vision blurred. His mind a whirlwind of chaotic horror. No, 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 no. This can't be real. This can't be real. His little cat, the one who was terrified of fire. Who would flinch at the tiniest burn? Who once cried because he accidentally scalded his fingertip on hot tea? And yet, he had been burned alive, trapped in a sea of flames. Ha Truok didn't dare imagine the agony Tiu Du must have suffered. In those final moments, the helpless cries, the desperate struggle, the unbearable pain, his beautiful little moonlight, his softest, most fragile love, reduced to nothing but ashes. Ha Truok's mind shattered, and for the first time, he truly realized what a monster he had been. What had he ever given Tiu Du? In their 3 years of marriage? Nothing. Only coldness. Only pain. Only unbearable suffering. And now, there was no more time to make amends, because he had already lost him. The gray wolf thought that after marrying his beloved, his life would finally be perfect. But reality was far from what he imagined. He had a wife, but he could only look, never touch. Every time his rut came, he could do nothing but endure the torment. This slow, relentless suppression began to eat away at him, dragging his thoughts into a dark, bitter place. Did Kitten truly love him? Or was this marriage just an obligation? That evening, when Ha Truok returned from work, the butler approached him. "Sir, someone has invited you to a private dinner tonight. There will be 2 rank 2S Omegas waiting for you there." Ha Truok coldly tossed his coat aside, his voice devoid of warmth. "Not going." The sensitive period had already arrived. His body ached, burned, throbbed with need, but still, he firmly ordered the butler, "Send them away. I have a wife. I won't go out looking for another." But that was only true if his wife could help quell the fire raging inside him. Kitten was sitting on the bed, reading a book, when suddenly, his wrist was seized, his body pushed down against the mattress. A little startled, he called out, "Truok Ca." The man above him, face flushed red, leaned in closer, closer, just wanting to hold him, just wanting to feel a little intimacy. But before he could do anything, Kitten turned his head away, avoiding him. The moment Ha Truok saw this reaction, his mood soured completely. With a deep scowl, he got up and turned away. About to leave, Kitten quickly grabbed his wrist. "It's not that I don't want to. But when I'm sober, I can't control my instincts." Hearing this, Ha Truok's patience snapped. His wife had just casually suggested, "You can get me drunk, and then we can do it." A sharp sting of anger. He ripped his hand away and spat. If you're disgusted by me, then just say it outright. What do you take me for? Like, dude, not wanting to sleep with you does not equal disgust? Why didn't he ever stop to consider if maybe his wife had a medical condition or some other issue? And so, like always, they parted on a bad note. And like always, the one left behind was Kai-din-do. With nowhere to release his frustration, Ha-truok drowned himself in boxing and training. 3 years of marriage, and the number of times they had been intimate, could be counted on one hand. The only time Kai-din-do had ever actively sought him out was during a heat cycle. That time, his delicate, flushed skin, his trembling fingers, his soft gasps. Even now, the memory haunted Ha-truok, leaving him burning in desperate longing. But he could only clench his jaw, tighten his gloves, and continue throwing punches at the sandbag, because that was the only thing he could touch. The only thing that wouldn't flinch away from him. Pathetic. Even a feral beast could collapse from hunger. That evening, Ha-truok received a call from a friend. I already told you, I'm not going to the party. There were too many people in his friend's social circle, and too many of them were the type who would smirk and say, "You're married? So what? What man doesn't fool around a little?" Disgusting. Ha-truok hated those kinds of people. And tonight, he wasn't in the mood for any of them. The guy on the other end of the line chuckled, his voice filled with amusement. Come on, Ha-truok, you're a high-rank alpha. Are you really going to stay celibate just because of that cold fish at home? Behind the gray wolf, a young rabbit-eared Omega had been following closely. With a soft, honeyed voice, he clung to Ha-truok's arm and whined. President Ha-tilde, why did you tell the butler to send us away? We can help you feel better. You know, you shouldn't keep suppressing yourself like this. It'll only make you miserable, tilde. He looked all innocent on the outside, but his intentions were anything but pure. Typical homewrecker, completely lacking in basic morality. And as fate would have it, Kai-din-do saw everything. His gaze lingered for only a moment. Before he turned away, he said nothing. He reacted not at all. But to Ha-truok, that silence felt colder than any slap. His teeth clenched. For 3 years, he had never once betrayed his marriage. He had never kept mistresses. Even during his most unbearable ruts, he forced himself to endure. All because he didn't want to betray his wife. And now, seeing his husband catch him with another, seeing him not even care, it infuriated him. The more he thought about it, the angrier he became. In a sudden motion, Ha-truok shoved the rabbit Omega away. Then, he spoke into the phone. Forget the restaurant. Move the party to my house instead. Bring more people, asterisk. The voice on the other end was instantly thrilled. Ha-truok never threw parties. But tonight, he was making an exception. He wanted Kai-din-do to notice. Wanted him to care. If ignoring him was his way of responding, then Ha-truok would make sure. He had no choice but to see. 3 people, 2 separate paths. Kai-din-do, left behind, trembling, kneeling on the floor, sobbing, alone. How pitiful. And all because a man's fragile ego is taller than the sky. That night, under the soft glow of the moon, Kai-din-do stood at the top of the staircase, watching. Below, in the living room, a group of flirty Omegas gathered around Ha-truok, giggling, whispering, seducing. One of them turned toward him, smirking. Oh, is this your mate, President Ha? Why not introduce us, asterisk. Before Ha-truok could even respond, another Omega laughed. Oh, there's no need. It's just a business arrangement, right? Nothing more than a transaction. If it's a deal, why not just divorce and be done with it? Then you can finally have your fun. Fun? What a disgusting thing to say. What a disgusting way to love. If you just want someone to warm your bed, why even get married in the first place? Why take love, tie it up with your own selfish desires, and use it to hurt the person who loves you most? Ha-truok wasn't listening. He was too busy seething. Because instead of getting angry, Kai-din-do simply remained silent. He didn't lash out. He didn't cry. He just stood there. And that made Ha-truok even more furious. The white rabbit Omega had been waiting. The moment he saw the opportunity, he collapsed dramatically into Ha-truok's arms. His voice soft and sweetly pathetic. Ah-tilde, I think I've had too much to drink. Should we go upstairs, President Ha-tilde? Asterisk. Ha-truok played along, his strong arm wrapped around the Omega's waist. His voice low and casual. Of course, let's go. They brushed past Kai Din-du as they left. The little cat didn't move. Didn't say a word. Didn't even look at them. But inside, his heart felt like it was ripped apart. Only he knew how much it hurt to stand there and watch. And the stupid gray wolf, blinded by his own arrogance, kept thinking that if he hurt Kai Din-du, he would finally get the reaction he wanted. But Kai Din-du wouldn't break, wouldn't beg, wouldn't lower himself to feed Ha Truok's pathetic, selfish need for validation. And that only infuriated him more. He didn't know how much time had passed. Didn't know whether that bastard Alpha had actually slept with that lowly Omega or not. But when Ha Truok opened the door, he was met with an unexpected sight. Kai Din-du was standing there. How long had he been waiting? He wasn't there to argue. Wasn't there to cry or plead. He simply said, I just received an assignment. I'm being sent to Sisterin for a mission. I'll be leaving today. Asterisk. After saying that, he hesitated for a moment. Then, as if gathering all his courage, he softly asked, would you like to pet my ears before I go? For a second, Ha Truok froze. Then his face flushed red. Finally, his little cat was willing to act spoiled. Trying to hide his excitement, he cleared his throat, putting on a serious act. Aren't you in a rush? We'll talk about it when you come back. But Kai Din-du, the one who had already gathered so much courage just to say those words, looked heartbroken. His ears, once perked up, drooped lifelessly. He lowered his head, whispering a quiet, okay. Then, he turned and left. Meanwhile, the big, fluffy-tailed wolf was secretly overjoyed. As soon as the door closed, his entire face lit up with excitement. He had been waiting for this day. 2 days later, their 3-year wedding anniversary. Ha Truok could barely contain himself. He had already planned everything. A romantic yacht trip around the world. A candlelit dinner under the stars. A bouquet of flowers and a surprise gift. Everything was finally falling into place. But life never goes as planned. Once again, the gray wolf stood holding a bouquet of roses. Just like the day he proposed. But this time, he wasn't waiting for a lover. He was waiting for a funeral notice. The news arrived. Sisterin was caught in a war. His beloved, caught in the crossfire, had been declared dead. Ha Truok's expression twisted into something monstrous. Like the end of the world had just been announced. 3 years of marriage, ending in nothing but a funeral. Ha Truok stood by the empty coffin. His mind a chaotic storm. He needed to know, what the hell happened in Sisterin? Kai Tin Lan, who had been standing nearby, his face dark and unreadable, finally spoke. The mission Tiu Du received was fake. No one from the organization sent him there. Asterisk. Someone deceived him, lured him to that battlefield, stole his gear and cut off his communications. And when war broke out near a local elementary school, Tiu Du died in the fire trying to save the children. Each word, each sentence, felt like a knife stabbing deeper into Ha Truok's heart. His fingers, which had been resting on the coffin, tightened into a death grip. Crack. The thick wooden surface splintered beneath his palm. His voice, low and filled with rage. Who did this? Kai Tin Lan shook his head. We don't know yet, but we found a spy in Tiu Du's team. His tone was flat, emotionless. But as he spoke, his gaze turned cold and full of hate. Then, he scoffed. Come to think of it, you had a hand in his death too. Didn't you, dear brother-in-law? His words dripped with venom. Because to him, Ha Truok wasn't just the grieving husband. He was the one who had pushed Kai Din-du to the edge. Again and again, until there was nowhere left to fall. If you didn't love him after 3 years of marriage, you should have just let him go. But instead, you spent 3 damn years making his life a living hell. Asterisk. Bringing a lover home wasn't enough. Huh? You had to go and throw some sleazy ass party. Filling the house with your disgusting friends. Playing around with other Omegas. In the home he lived in? Just thinking about it made Kai Tin Lan's blood boil. His voice thundered through the funeral hall. He couldn't take it anymore. That's why he took that damn mission. Hearing that, Ha Truok suddenly felt lightheaded. Wait, what? That's not real, right? That can't be true. But Kai Tin Lan's voice was stone cold. 100% real. Not a single damn lie. Your own actions pushed him straight into the fire. Asterisk. And the worst part? Ha Truok still tried to justify himself. I just wanted to provoke him a little. I just wanted him to be soft with me. I couldn't stand how cold he was to me, asterisk. The funeral hall went dead silent. Then, bam! Kitten Land slammed his fist against the table. His furious glare locked onto Ha Truoc. Provoke? Provoke him? You wanted love, so you thought hurting him was the way to get it? Are you even human? Asterisk. Well, technically, he's not human, but that's beside the point. The more Kitten Land spoke, the more his rage burned. If murder wasn't illegal, he'd set this whole damn place on fire. With Ha Truoc inside, but since he couldn't, he settled for punching the bastard straight in the face. A solid hit. The Grey Wolf's jaw twisted from the impact. A nasty bruise instantly bloomed across his cheek. But Ha Truoc didn't even react. Because his mind was spinning. He had no idea that Kai Din Du was struggling with severe depression. Didn't know that doctors had warned that he was at high risk of suicide. So he stared at Kitten Land, voice trembling. Wait, what are you saying? To you, Du, he was depressed? Oh, so now he was asking? Now, after the fact? Now, after pushing him to his breaking point? Kitten Land's rage boiled over. You were married to him for 3 years. And you never even noticed? You were too busy whining about not getting to sleep with him, asterisk. Too busy throwing tantrums. Because you couldn't provoke him into loving you. Too busy being a self-centered, pathetic excuse of a husband. Ha Truoc felt like he had been stabbed in the chest. Suddenly, all those moments flashed through his mind. The nights Kitten Du curled up alone, hugging his pillow. The way he trembled when he was upset, but never let anyone see his tears, asterisk. The way he suffered, in silence. And all this time, Ha Truoc thought, his biggest problem was that he wasn't being loved enough. How wrong he had been. And now, it was too late to make things right. Side note, Kitten Du, sweetie, leave this man and come find me. I will love you. I will cherish you. Forget this tragic wolf. Let's go get you some comfort and healing. Pleading face heartbreak.